All right, we're gonna do Champagne 10th Anniversary Edition today. This is the cigar we're gonna be smoking. Dopest J with another cigar yap session. Another one today. Be pretty interesting. Got a couple topics to talk about. Nothing too crazy. I get my lighter and my gutter. I always think about the movie Too Fast, Too Furious when Tyrese tried to take the guy's cigar cutter. He said, my pockets ain't empty. That was always a fun movie to watch. But yeah, I'm wearing my gloves right now because it's like really chilly outside. Really cold out today. Plus there was a lot of overcast today, a lot of clouds out, so didn't get much sun. All right, let's get this off. Yep, this is what I've been waiting for right here. Recording this on a Sunday. A lot of football games today. The Giants went into overtime and the Detroit Lions scored. So it is what it is. Let's get it. This is good. This is good. Oh yeah, recent pickup. So I got a fresh cut, as you guys can see. And when I was at the mall, I picked up Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1. This is the latest run of Ultimate Spider-Man, the entire reboot of the Ultimate Universe. Really, really good stuff. I really like this. I find Ultimate Spider-Man, the original Ultimate Spider-Man, and this version of Ultimate Spider-Man to be much better than the 616 mainline Spider-Man comics. So yeah, for people who like Spider-Man, for people who like comics or are interested in getting into comics, pick up this Ultimate Spider-Man. Really, really good comic. Really, really fun stuff. Nice, nice, nice. Slow burn. Amazing cigar. So we got some things we want to cover today. Had to pull up my phone because I have some stats I want to read off to you guys. A lot of stats I can commit to memory, but there's a lot of information here because I talked about how parts of the video game industry is going to correct itself. I talked about how long-term I think the gaming industry is going to be fine. There's a lot of doomers who are like, gaming is dying. And I said, no, you're going to have parts of gaming that's going to struggle, but then you're going to have other parts of gaming that's going to be perfectly fine and be successful. A perfect example of this is like hardware, for example, right? Like hardware that's related to gaming, consoles and stuff like that. The pricing is absolutely ridiculous right now for a lot of pieces of hardware. Microsoft increased the cost of their consoles twice this year, and Sony increased the cost of their console once this year, but now they're doing a $100 discount for Black Friday, which is pretty cool. So for people who don't have a PS5, you can get a really nice discount on the PS5 right now. Like, this is the time to buy a PS5. And then you have the Nintendo Switch 2. So, USA in video games, October 2025 report, year-on-year total spend increased by 3% to $4.9 billion for video games in the United States. Video game content spending grew by 1% to $4.4 billion. Hardware spend increased year over year by 36%, fueled by the Switch 2. The Switch 2 was selling like hotcakes. They're selling a lot of units. Nintendo Switch 2 sold 328,000 units, 68% ahead of pace of the original Nintendo Switch, 3% ahead of the PS4. Battlefield 6 was the #1 selling video game, followed by Pokemon Legends Z8 and Ghost of Yotei at number 3. So all those people, those anti-woke people who were trying to crap on Ghost of Yotei, Ghost of Yotei is selling really, really well. Battlefield 6 is already the best-selling video game of the year. Ghost of Yotei is now in the top 10 best-selling games of the year. Now, this is going to be very interesting right here. PS5 console sales were down 22% year over year, and Xbox Series sales at minus 37% year over year. And then Switch 1 is down 52% because the Switch 2 is out. So Switch 1 sales are going to decline, obviously. So the video game industry as a whole is doing really, really well. I made a video called "The Business of Xbox and Game Pass Makes No Sense." And I talked about how Xbox hardware sales were down, and I also brought up that statistic multiple times as well. I believe at that point in time when I got that report in, I believe it was late August, based off of the earnings call from July, that during that point in time, Xbox console sales were down 22% year over year. Now it's 37% based off of the October report, which is absolutely insane, but it's to be given. And then PlayStation console sales are down year over year as well. To be more specific, 22% year over year. So it's like I said, software is going to sell well. Some hardware is going to do well, some hardware isn't, but overall you see from both the Xbox and PlayStation side that their hardware sales for consoles are down, which was to be expected given where we're at economically here in the United States. A lot of people are getting laid off. Things are very, very expensive, so people have to make choices. But also, when you look at the business of PlayStation in particular, despite the console sales doing, like their console sales being down right now, overall, the overall health of PlayStation is still there. They're selling games. They're making a lot of revenue over the PlayStation Store. So overall, the health of PlayStation is there. And they'll be able to bounce back with hardware sales pretty soon. Now, Microsoft has a big year coming up in regards to releases. You got Halo 1 Remake next year. You have Forza next year. We still need a release date for Fable. I'm hoping that during the Xbox, well, not the Xbox, but the Video Game Awards, they can show off a new trailer for Fable and give us some more content for that in regards to a release window for that game. Because last I heard they were targeting 2026, but we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens. But overall, like I said, the health of gaming is where it is. You have a lot of bangers, a lot of heavy hitting titles that came out this year, and next year is going to be an even bigger year for gaming than what it was this year when you start to look up the lineup of games that are coming out next year. So I've been hammering this point for a very, very long time. Long term, you have to think about this long term, even in the short term, but long term, gaming is going to be fine. Gaming is always generating billions and billions of dollars of revenue, and consumer spending is still there. So even if the hardware isn't selling as well, the software is going to sell well in regards to the games. People are going to buy the games they want to play, and certain franchises and certain parts of gaming are going to undergo a correction. A perfect example of this, as I highlighted in my previous Cigar Yap session, is Call of Duty. Call of Duty is undergoing a correction right now. Black Ops 7 is grossly underperforming relative to the previous 3 entries within the Call of Duty franchise, that being Black Ops 6, Modern Warfare 3 2023, and then Modern Warfare 2 2022. And I put all the statistics in that video about how Call of Duty is performing, not only on PC, but also on console. Where in the UK, the physical sales are down 60%. And if you extrapolate that to the United States and other global markets, it's the same story. On top of the fact that player counts are down, engagement is down, it's just not doing well. It's not doing well at all. So to all the people who were coping on my video talking about, well, how can you use Steam charts? It's something called extrapolation, right? If the game isn't performing well on PC, we can extrapolate that data to console as well and use other data points that are related to console and say, hey, the game isn't a hit. It's not a success relative to the previous titles. And it's not going to continue to chart well. So it is what it is. And a franchise like Call of Duty needs that, because they've gotten stagnant, they've gotten lazy. There's a lot of generative AI slop inside the game and stuff like that. So it is what it is. Consumers are always going to find another game to play. They're going to move on and play something else entirely different. Now, to switch topics, right? Because I don't know why people listen to Jez Corden in regards to, if you guys don't know who he is, he's this guy that had, according to him, he has sources. He doesn't have good sources. So recently, he put out this, essentially with this fake news, right? He put out fake news, fake gaming news, stating that PlayStation will potentially pull back on their PC strategy, right? And me, I always look at the quarterly earning reports. I look at their investor relation presentations, as well as the games and network services segments that they post, their slide presentations that they post every quarter, right? To see how the health of PlayStation is doing within Sony. And according to those presentations over the past couple of years, their strategy to put their games on PC has generated a lot of revenue. It's been very, very successful. And Sony, along with PlayStation, enjoys the fact that they're able to take their games, like tap into their library of games on PlayStation, port them to PC, and have them sell really, really well on PC and get that additional revenue and profits from PC. So I provided these data points not only on Twitter, but here on YouTube, right? And some people tend to conveniently ignore and omit the fact that this is relevant data straight from Sony. I always provide my sources. I always provide the data in the description as well as in the video as well. I provide you guys with the visualization of the screenshots in my video. So he comes out with this fake news and says that PlayStation might potentially pull back on their PC strategy. And I'm looking around like, first of all, how can anyone think that this guy is credible when it comes to anything in gaming? He's been vehemently wrong for years entering this generation. He's been wrong about Xbox. He's been 100% wrong about PlayStation. And the executives at PlayStation and Sony has pretty much stated that they're sticking with their strategy of putting PlayStation games on PC, that it is profitable for them to put their games on PC, and they provided the data points that I've shared multiple times, and I'm going to continue to share it here and on Twitter, stating that PlayStation games on PC is beneficial for everyone, not only just the PC players, but the PlayStation players. So we get a report saying that Sony has made over $1.2 billion on Steam via selling over 43 million copies of PlayStation Studio games. And then they break down the top 5 games that sold well on PC. Let me tell you guys this. I didn't need this report to validate what I already knew was a fact about PlayStation according to their own data. PlayStation already put out the data. This is just corroborating the information and knowledge that we already knew. How can anyone take Jez Corden, whatever that guy's name, seriously in regards to gaming news, gaming takes and stuff like that? He tries to act like he's this industry insider, like he has this level of insight, like Jason Schreier, Tom Henderson, and these other guys who have proven their credibility and are actual journalists within gaming. And that's one of the funniest things that I've witnessed over the past couple of years, is seeing who within the gaming industry, the gaming content creation space, and the information space is credible. Because there's a lot of guys who have no credibility in this whatsoever, in regards to their history in gaming, in regards to the games that they play, in regards to their alleged sources that they have. they don't have sources. They don't have any insiders. Nor would you ever hear me state that I have insiders in these companies like Sony and Microsoft. No. What I do is I research the information and data that's publicly available. I also defer to the knowledge and the information of guys who have the credibility in the industry to be able to make my own inference on what's going on in the industry, and to make my own analysis off of what's going on based off of the publicly available information that we have, and then the actual sources that these individuals have to provide us the news that we get. Plus, I follow the news outlets on all the social media platforms, so I'm always aware of what's happening within gaming. But that guy Jez has no credibility. But back to the conversation about PlayStation games on PC. PlayStation games on PC is very profitable. They're getting that additional revenue from selling the game on another platform like PC, and they can take that money and reinvest it back into PlayStation, into their studios, to make more engaging first-party experiences that they can also share with PC. It's a win-win deal. All PC gamers have to do is just show up, buy the game, that's it. That's all they have to do. Ooh, some good apple juice. Some good apple juice. That's it. But yeah, guys like Jez and a lot of these fake insiders and these fake journalists, no sources, no credibility. It's just fake news for engagement on Twitter and whatever other platform that they're on. That's all it is. But yeah, other than that, we're streaming, we're gaming, we're having a blast. I recently got Arc Raiders, so I got to get a little squad to play Arc Raiders. Finished up my Cyberpunk 2077 playthrough. I might do 1 or 2 more streams on that game and then get back to playing Ghost of Tsushima. I said this before, I'm waiting for Ghost of Yotei to hit PC. I'm waiting for the PC port, and I'll play it on PC. And then we have a couple of more games coming out towards the end of the year, and that's it. Other than that, we got Thanksgiving coming up, eat some good food, and that's about it. This is good. It's starting to get dark now. But yeah, I don't really have much to add. I just wanted to get that off of my chest and, you know, provide you guys with my opinions on that, because I seen that on Twitter and I was sitting here like, why would anyone listen to this when we have the data points and the information pointing to the fact that PlayStation is going to remain committed towards putting their games on PC? There is one more point I want to bring up. One more point. Because some of the hardcore PlayStation fanboys, well, let's not talk about the hardcore PlayStation fanboys. Let me say this about PlayStation. I made a Cigar Yap session a while ago talking about PlayStation and Nintendo are not immune to the BS. They're not immune to it. They're not immune to doing stupid stuff. And I talked about how Jim Ryan came into this generation with the mandate of making live service games, and how the live service mandate has essentially backfired on them. And now they have to essentially pivot and restart development on projects and pivot to the projects that initially makes them a lot of money, right? So a lot of the live service projects that they were working on got canceled. So Factions 2 is a perfect example of this. Concord got shut down, and the entire studio that made Concord got shut down. So now with PlayStation Studios under the leadership of Herman Hulse, now they have to pivot from, you know, live service to going back to single player games and working on the stuff that they should have been working on in the first place. Now, they're still committed to doing live service games, but they're reworking their live service strategy because the original version and the original strategy of how they were trying to execute live service failed. I've said this, and now a lot of other people are starting to come to the same sentiment, I believe around 2024. How, while the PlayStation 5 hardware, the console is a good console, this generation of PlayStation has been lackluster. Now a lot more people are starting to come to that bandwagon, but it's not just them, it's the generation. This generation, for the most part, has been lackluster. There's been some great titles, don't get me wrong, but PlayStation in particular hasn't had the same level of output that they did during the PS4 generation. And now, recently, the CFO, Lynn Tao, said that she believes that we're only halfway through the PS5 generation. She believes that the generation should be extended out even longer. And I agree with her. I actually agree with her because I said, yeah, how are you going to come out with the PS6 in 2027 and you haven't even hit the full, you haven't hit your full stride in regards to the amount of first-party titles that are supposed to be coming out this generation. If anything, PS6 should be something for 2029. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm saying this to say, while I do like PlayStation, I do like Sony, their strategy coming into this generation in regards to how they handled their first-party studios, they fumbled so hard. And we haven't had the output that we should have had with the games that we're seeing now, where they're turning the ship around. So we'll see what happens. This is pretty much it for the video. I just wanted to get some of these final thoughts out to you guys. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy Thanksgiving. Peace.